What do you feel is the most pressing issue for our children today? I'm going to start with Eric.
Okay. I think right now we need to make sure that our hiring process, mostly for teachers but also for all staff, continues to be as strong as it is. I think that in this political climate that we're in today, we have to be competitive with other districts when it comes to hiring the best and most bright teachers that we can. And we're doing well with that, but I think it's a struggle every year when we need to hire more teachers. It's a lengthy process, but we continue to get great employees. But I think over time, we've seen that it's been a more difficult process every year. And we're really gonna have to concentrate on what's the best way to recruit and hire the best employees. Thank you.
Thank you. In no particular order, I'm going to ask Karla if you would respond to that question.
I believe, like the school board member stated, that having our teachers are the most important thing, that they interact with our students the most. And really, the retention of our best teachers is very important, especially as we combine our schools together, and we're going to be combining many of our staffs together and have them work together going forward. We need to make sure that we're retaining and developing our best teachers to help our students and really bring the schools together, bringing those blue ribbon schools into, and their practices into the new schools that will be developing from them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tracy.
Okay, I agree with having great teachers, which I feel like we have a lot of, but as I talk with the community, a lot of the concern that they have is about security and safety within our schools. I know with the shooting today in Maryland, I'm sure it's in the forefront of everybody's mind. I attended the school board meeting last night, and they did discuss in lengthy detail about the security measures that we do have here in place. I really liked being that I teach for Marquette. I have my master's degree, so I've done lots of research with papers that that the school board came forth with ideas and suggestions of studies that they use to show that there are right things and right ways to do things, and I think that we need to really rely on those studies to make sure that those are the right things for our district to do. And I do feel like that is something that that's at the forefront and very concerning to a lot of the families here in Muskego.
Great, thank you. And Terri.
I'm kind of torn on this. I like both of those topics. Absolutely retaining teachers. The other thing for me is being able to offer a variety of different paths of education for all the students, so that kids can go into different careers, kids can go into trades. I'd like to see the engineering programs, I'd like to see the trades, I'd like to see all of those types of things going on in our schools and promoting those. A lot of kids recently that are friends with my son have been going into the military, which is wonderful. I think it's wonderful to have all of those paths. I think that's really important, and to retain teachers to teach those things. School safety, absolutely as well. We are so fortunate to have Jeremiah Johnson. If you have not heard him speak on school safety, he is phenomenal. There's such a good plan for it in this school. So I'm really torn between those two things.
All right, thank you much. With today, one of the major concerns is drug use with our children. And any thoughts about how to address prevention as well as the problem of addiction in our school children? I'm gonna start with Tracy.
Okay, thank you. Definitely is something that we see a lot, even at Children's Hospital where I work, have been working for 27 years. So I've seen a very big shift in having kids with issues with addictions, with drugs. The school district has done a wonderful job having programs come to our district to help in the heroin addiction. I've actually attended when they had a family come whose son was addicted to heroin and talked about those things that you as a parent should be looking for when you're in their bedroom and the different things that they will exhibit when they are hooked on drugs. So I think as parents, we need to kind of attend those informal meetings and activities that the school board presents to us and get that knowledge that we need to make sure that our kids are safe.
Eric, your thoughts on those issues?
Very important issues. Being in law enforcement, I come into contact with a lot of younger individuals in the city I work in, and that are going to school at this time. And it's concerning, of course. What we've done here at the district over the last 3 to 4 years is we were one of the first in Wisconsin to begin a program of random drug testing. So we're now testing our students in the high school that are either in co-curriculars or have parking passes to park on the facility grounds. And also our work with Muskego Police Department and the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department. We also have canine searches in our classrooms, in our hallways, where our lockers are, and also in our parking lots. The nice part about this is there is some consequences in school for co-curriculars and parking pass people that violate, but our main goal is to get these individuals that test positive into a system of help. And we do that anonymously through the Pro Health, who does our testing at our schools, and they get the students, parents involved, and hopefully get these individuals early intervention.
Terri?
Drugs in the schools, it's terrifying to me as a parent. They don't pick people, they don't pick certain people. It can become part of any family. The continuation of drug testing in the high school, I support that. I like the fact that when the kids test positive, that they are offered help, that the family is offered help, that they are not just left out there. We give them a lifeline and we try to help them. The canine searches are wonderful. Continuation of the drug education classes I think are important because drug use tends to start when kids are stressed, struggling academically, going through transitions, and it starts early. Those kids can start in middle school, early middle school. We want to get them educated before it starts. To monitor the mental health status of our students as well. I think that's very important, and to offer that help to families and to students before drug use becomes something that they're reaching for. Thank you.
And Karla?
So I am a parent of 2 young children, elementary and middle school, and this is something that, you know, it kind of, you never think it's going to happen to you, but it certainly scares you that might happen. So there's a lot of discussion that has to happen at home and talk about what things our kids should not do. If your friend says he has something, don't take it, you don't know what that is. And just have that discussion of what drugs can do, going to the age-appropriate presentations and things like that. Our kids going through the DARE program. My son came home and had a lot to talk about from that one. Also making sure that we are monitoring our own medications at home. If you have something at home that you're no longer taking after, say, a surgery, making sure that gets recycled at the drop boxes that are provided. So those things at home, as well as the DARE program and the monitoring programs in the high school, I think are very important. And I hope to continue that discussion with my children as well as other kids as well.
Terrific. I now have some questions from our audience. For Terri, you've addressed the most pressing need for students. In which way would your answer change if focused on the district's pressing issue? Think about what you see as the pressing issue and what the district sees as the pressing issue.
Wow, that's a tough question. I think there's a lot of pressing issues. Safety, school safety is very important. That's a very, very important topic right now that the district has been discussing. And that's a very important topic as well for me. When my children are there, that is something I think about. I'm not sure I'm getting that question right. Sitting through some of the safety seminars that I have for the district, I feel very good about that. They worked very hard and diligent on that. Just the overall thing about this district is they set goals, and these goals are monitored, and they meet these goals, and if they're not, they revise the goals and meet them. I am just overly impressed with how everybody is held accountable at the administration level and at the board level. And I believe these issues will be addressed, and they will have goals set and good things put in place to help with them.
Thank you. Eric, you've been on the board, and I wonder if you're able to identify if there is a time when you as a board member have thought, gosh, that's not the most pressing thing we have, here's what I think.
We've done a good job. You know, I think probably one of the most pressing issues district-wide would be continuous improvement, academic continuous improvement. It's easy to start down that path, and everybody has a lot of ideas, and we're trying to reinvent and make things really good when it comes to academic continuous improvement. But the hard part is once you've expired a lot of these good ideas, we need more. And we have to continue to learn, and we have to continue to look at best practices, and we have to continue to bring new ideas and test those new ideas prior to implementing them. So I think that's one of the things that the district and the administration probably do well, but they struggle with it because there's so much time involved in that preparation of a program to make it move forward. I'm getting the high side, so well done.
Thanks so much.
Sure.
Karla, in light of school violence across the country, this is a multi-layered problem that needs a multi-layered solution. What would you do proactively to keep Muskego schools safe?
This is a question that I have gotten a number of times from various people. I know I just wrote up an answer to this morning. There's a couple different things we need to do. At our personal level, we need to make sure we talk about gun safety in our homes, make sure we talk about gun safety in other people's homes with our children. We have to, in our schools, we should make sure we're reviewing our safety programs and how that is executed so that everybody has that down, because if there is an issue that is a very emotional time, and if you have gone through the program, if you've reviewed all the procedures, it's a lot easier to make those decisions when you're trying to keep the kids safe. And then, you know, at the district level, we have to make sure that the procedures that we have in place are still relevant, useful. And just in the community level, we need to talk about gun safety. We need to help people who are having any issues or concerns, and just work together so that a community can help this problem.
Great, thank you so much. On a different vein, Terri, so we haven't had anything like this that we've seen happen in other parts of the country. Do we relax about safety in our schools?
Absolutely not. I don't think anyone can be prepared for what might happen better than Muskego right now. The amount of time and work that we put in, the best thing to do is be prepared. You never know what's gonna come. There's no single cause to be unsafe, there's no single cause to it, and there's no single solution. There's such a multifaceted solution. And to focus on making sure that when our kids walk in that school, that they are going to be safe, that the plans are in place, that the staff knows what they need to know, that the police department's on board. We have police officers in our schools, in 3 of our schools, full-time. I feel safe when my kids are in our school because I do believe that our district practices. They have a great plan in place. Things that we can do better internally, maybe add some things to our curriculum about helping kids better resolve conflict and problems in their life, mental health issues that are coming up. I hear over and over again how mental health is on an increase for younger kids. I'm done.
Thank you, thank you. Tracy, when we think about voting and what differentiates our candidates, the school board is in need of independent thinkers. Are you comfortable with voicing an opinion that may not be what the majority are thinking?
Okay, so that brings me right to my job that I do every day, working with surgeons and being a nurse. There's definitely situations where I have to be the patient advocate and speak in situations where there is a dire need to make sure that the patient is safe. And I would think that would be very identical to what it would be like being on the school board and voicing my opinion about things that I believe in. I also feel, just like I do in my job, that I'm not going to just randomly speak. I'm going to make sure that I have lots of evidence and data to kind of support my decision and reaction to the situation, and not just haphazardly come up with a solution without having the resources to know what's right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely I'm very, very much familiar with that in my profession.
Great. Eric, so let's imagine you have always gone along with everything. You know, things seem to work out real well on the board and everybody's copacetic, everybody agrees. And now, all of a sudden, something has come up that you believe, and from your constituents, they believe in a totally opposite opinion. How are you going to handle that?
My reputation precedes me. The other 6 school board members that sit here understand that I have the ability to fight the fight on my own if I need to. And the nice part about what we have going right now with the school board is, and I think if you ever look at our meeting minutes, most of our votes are 7-0 or 6-1, maybe an outlier here or there. It doesn't start that way. We have a lot of really important discussions that occur, and at times we're split. And we discuss, and we bring it back, and we ask for information, and we ask for more information, we bring it back. And the nice part about where we're at right now is we can come to consensus. when I first started in 2006, the board wasn't the way it is today. And we didn't get a lot of work done. So I can definitely stand up for my opinion, and the other 6 know that. But I can also listen to what they have to say and understand that the way they want to do it might be the way we have to give it a try.
Great, thank you. Educator recruitment and retention is a question that we have here. And for a variety of reasons, including the enactment of Act 10, we have a teacher shortage in Wisconsin. How do you plan on recruiting and keeping high-quality educators in our district? And I'm going to start with Karla.
I don't specifically have a plan, but I think that making sure that our environment is very friendly to the teachers that we do recruit. Definitely want to make sure that they want to stay with that environment in the schools, working with their cohorts, working with their principals. And for the recruitment side of things, first we need to make sure that we get more students into the education path. Maybe encourage our students to go through that education path, and maybe they like our school district so much they'll come back and teach. But working with the colleges within Milwaukee and Wisconsin to try and shore up those education paths and find out what it is that they need for more students to get into teaching.
Mm-hmm. Great. On that same path, in looking at retaining our teachers, as our teachers are aging, Tracy and I certainly know that, being in the nursing profession, so too are our teachers aging, and many aging out of the profession. Eric, what can you say as far as some planning for the number of teachers that will retire, and having an idea, a plan for bringing new teachers in?
Well, the good message I have for you is that retirements are decreasing since Act 10 was implemented. We had a pretty large group a few years in a row that did leave at that time. What we are doing, which I think is important, is we've decided, an administration had brought a proposal which we tweaked, and we did decide that what we were going to do in Muskego-Norway is we were going to set the starting wage higher to be more competitive than other districts in southeastern Wisconsin. And of course, on the other end of that, we had to make that up somewhere, so the steps do not increase as quickly. But what we've seen is that the people that we're hiring right now are really high quality, and they're transferring from other districts. And that's what we want. We do want the best performers that are coming out of college, but by all means, we'll take the best performers from Elmbrook, or we'll take the best performers from Sussex Hamilton. And by increasing that pay level for our starting teachers, which really costs us less on the low end than on the high end, has paid great dividends.
Following up on that, Tracy, as an educator, looking at education, continuing education for our teachers, we know that there are so many credits that are required for relicensure and that, but how do you see yourself on the board helping to promote that education for teachers?
Yeah, and I wanted to add even on that last question that we at the hospital bring in student nurses so that they can see what a great environment like Children's Hospital is, and I would love to see the school district bring in more student teachers to see how great of an environment they'd be working in order for them to get hired on then too. But in addition to that, I do believe that offering continuing education credits while on campus or online that can be reimbursed if benefits so allow that they can get tuition reimbursement for conferences and stuff that they attend, that would be very beneficial. And I know that's one of the things that is offered at the place of employment that I work at, to make it easier for them so that they can attain those additional learning activities that they need to stay current within the teaching field and know what the newest technology is out there and such, offering that. And I know that the school district does a nice job of offering conferences and stuff that the teachers can then attend and learn that information from.
Great, thank you. Terri, considering the youngest of our students, the 4Kers, thinking about that, the question that we have from the audience is, should 4K be kept in centers or moved to the elementary schools? What is your opinion and the reason for that?
Well, uniquely, I've been running a childcare for almost 20 years now. So I do a lot of preschool education, and I was in the middle of that when 4K came to the district. And it is a very important step because we saw kids coming into kindergarten at all different levels. I don't really have the knowledge or the information to be able to tell you why they should stay in the schools or why they should stay in centers. I think that's something I would have to look into and find out more information before I could give you a real good answer of why we would choose to keep them in centers or move them into the facility.
Okay. Eric, having been on the board and you've seen this topic come through, your thoughts on 4K?
Well, initially, we argued about 4K, whether we should have 4K, shouldn't have 4K, whether it should be in our schools or in the community for a few years. Jim Schaefer knows that well. But what we ended up doing, at the time, we had space constraints in our elementary schools that dictated that we did not feel that we could properly have 4K in our own facilities. So we studied community 4K, not a lot of community 4K out there, but we tweaked it the way we thought it would run the best. And to be perfectly honest with you, it cost our district about half of what it would cost if we were doing it in our own facilities. And we feel it's been as successful being in the community as it most likely would have been if we had it in our own facilities.
Tracy, so imagine that the 4K in the community went away. How would we handle that within our school district?
Yeah, so I actually, with my 6 kids, did not have them go in the 4K program. They actually went with Muskego Park and Rec. I was an at-home mom. I was at home during the day and nursing at night at that time. So it worked. My kids have all succeeded. I have 2 in college and 2 in high school and 2 in middle school. So I think it would be okay if we didn't have the K-4 program, although I feel like it is a nice thing that we do offer to our families within the school district, having that available. I know while I talk to the community while running for school board, a lot of them are concerned of the turnover that they have of teachers because they are not hired within the school district. Well, they sort of are and kind of, they're within, but they are through the agencies that they're working for. And I think having a little bit of more of a stable environment to having this routinely, having the same teacher and having them back follow year after year would be a nice thing for the families to like.
Sure. Karla, looking at district improvement, the current board has accomplished a lot of great things. But of course, there is always room for improvement. One of our audience members asked, what would you regard as the weakness or opportunity in the current board, or what would you like them to do more of or do it better than they currently are doing?
I have not thought of that very closely, but being on the parent advisory team and the different committees, I think that there's a very good discussion in the district on those teams. I think one thing that we can do is have that maybe more widely publicized and get more parents in and community members that are interested in interacting with the district. I think it was really good on the master planning committee for the referendum that we had people in there that didn't have any kids currently in the district, that had been here for a long time or had just joined. And I think that that communication is really very important to educate the community and to educate the board on what things are important to the community. So really continuing and increasing that communication is important.
Great. Eric, being on the board as long as you have, and this is now Oz, what one thing would you like to see done differently on the board?
We've talked about this a lot, and I've talked about it a lot. We would love to see, as Karla said, more interaction and more interaction between the community and the school board. We've taken steps to have our school board meetings during the winter months of the year at each school, which has helped. But we still, I think, lack community involvement when it comes to direct contact with the school board or the school board members. As an alderman, I probably fielded half a dozen calls a week, and as a school board member, maybe one every 2 to 3 weeks. And the interaction, I don't think is, and I'm not sure, maybe we're doing the right things and as an alderman we weren't. I'm not really sure what that is. But the more we hear from the community, the more ideas we can bring to a school board meeting or session or committee meeting, and your voice is heard. And we do talk about things that we receive from community members.
Terri, if there's one thing that you could do to increase that community connection with the school board, what one thing would you want to do?
I love doing this kind of stuff. I'm very involved with Muskego Youth Football, and we did a ton of outreach to community. We had to recruit in a football league that was continually losing numbers, and we had to reach parents. I love going out and talking to people. I think being present, being approachable, being out and about, having meetings, inviting people, really communicating where you're going to be, what you're going to be talking about, and getting those people to those meetings. I think just increasing that communication to get people to come, talking about the topics that are going to be discussed, having more programs where parents can come in and board members be present and be part of that talk with the community about whatever topic it is, and partnering with the community, different groups in the community, so you're bringing those people in. I think those are the kind of things that I would love to do.
Great. Tracy?
Okay, so this is crazy, but JS Online asked us the same question, like what would you change? And my topic was communication, because I feel in the healthcare profession we do health literacy, right? All of our communication that we put out is always at a 5th grade level, so that everyone can understand what it is that you're presenting to them and they can take it home. They know that you're only going to really present 3 items to them, and that's really what they're going to take home when you're giving those discharge instructions. And I know I've talked about it at the Parent Strategic Committee that I'm on, that I think our communication that we're giving out looks phenomenal. It looks great. It looks like some college documentation has come out, and it looks great, but it's not hard to, it's not easy to comprehend. And I really feel like, not to dumb it down or anything like that, but just bring it down to a level of communication that our community can understand is something that I really would love to see within our district.
Great, great. Well, we're going to take a 5-minute break so that our candidate, Terri. Future growth of our district. With the projection of future enrollment, some say it'll decline. Will you project any future school projects or developments that maybe we have to think differently about?
I think growth is good. We should always be looking at future. We should always be looking at growth. Right now, we have so much happening in our district. I think that would probably be taking a little bit of a break from building. We finally are going to have schools that have good infrastructure and good space. Now I think we grow internally as far as academics and utilize this space and the different things that these different schools and areas in the school will bring us and provide the students and the teachers space to do different kind of programming for the students. And I think that will be a lot of growth within our schools themselves.
Karla, if our enrollment declines, how do you feel that would impact any projections that we have for other increases in activities or building or other things that go on? How would you address that as a new board member?
I know that we've had very flat, stagnant enrollment over the past years. How that would affect things going forward if it were to decline? I'm not seeing a lot of large projects that we're looking for this year. After all the current projects, there's so many current projects, and then the turf as well. I don't see any expansion projects. It really would be, hunkering down, making sure we're giving the kids what they need within the schools, but maybe working with the community to see what we can do to spur more families to be coming in, to show all the awards that we're getting, to really encourage those families to come to our district. And those are the kind of things that I saw when I came in, not having any kids yet, but still encouraged to come in here to start raising children versus other districts. And I think that that's really something that we would probably want to focus on.
Great. Eric, in what way do you think your personal political affiliation would affect decisions at the district as a board member?
Well, I really don't think it does at this point because I think my political affiliations are very similar to Muskego community as a whole. I think that's probably why, even though this is a nonpartisan election, I think that's probably why back in 2006 I was elected and then re-elected up until today. So I really don't see that's an issue. Just to step back on her enrollment question, give a little bit of information there. Back in 2011, we hit our highest enrollment, which was 5,000 kids. Right now, we're about 4,900 kids. The nice part is we're starting to see construction again of family homes, and we have more open enrollment people that want to come into our district than we can accommodate every year. So if in fact we did decrease, we could easily fill up to that 4,900 level without any issue whatsoever.
Stemming off of that, Terri, open enrollment, looking at children who don't live in the district who want to come to the district, thoughts about how that would be addressed on the board?
Well, I think and this is my knowledge of what I've gathered, the board does vote and decide how many open enrollment seats are available each year. And I think that's wonderful. I think bringing in students from other communities that want to come to our district because we have something to offer that they don't have to offer. is a great thing for our district, as long as it doesn't take away from our students and our community. I think that's a wonderful thing. And the thing I would want to stop, I would not want any kids from Muskego to open enroll anywhere else. I want kids to stay with us because of our academic programs, our activities programs, everything. I would like to see us have 0 people transfer out of Muskego.
Tracy, going back to political affiliation, in what way do you see, if this is a non-political affiliated position in the community, how do you see that as an advantage or a disadvantage?
I think it's, again, it's similar, it's so astounding to me how similar the school board is to my nursing job, but I'm gonna speak again, as being a nurse, there are many times when a parent or a physician may make a decision that I as a nurse may or may not agree with or disagree with, and then going to that table and creating an environment where you can talk about the issues and come to a consensus and stuff. I tend to be more conservative, obviously, with my viewpoints, but that's not to say that I wouldn't listen to a person who has another viewpoint and has other ideas of different things, because I'm very open to listening to hearing what they have to say and seeing if maybe there is a way that we can compromise and come to the center and be in the middle.
Great, thank you. Switching gears. Karla, what are your thoughts about how the district should treat and deal with students who are identified as transgender with respect to restroom use?
I think that this is a very polarizing question, but I believe that the children should be able to use the bathroom that they identify with.
Okay. Eric, in talking about that, if a parent were to bring that issue to the school board, how would that be handled?
Well, right now, we've already had discussions about this, knowing that it will come in the future. So what we've decided to do is make accommodations at every school where you will have restrooms that are not gender-based restrooms, outside of the current restrooms that we already have. So we've talked about that during our building. We are making those adjustments, and we are making those adjustments in all schools, and that should be completed hopefully this school year or the following, so that if that issue is brought to our attention, that we want to make sure we're accommodating, that we'll already have that in place.
Great, thank you. Taking a look again at educator match with the curriculum and how we do the hiring, staff effectiveness, staff engagement, the upper level math program at the high school seems to have some staff effectiveness struggles with students learning, growing, and succeeding. How can the school board assist in developing a program to be effective for our students and helping it to be high performing? Terri.
I think that the math program should be looked at very closely. I think the students should be utilized as a source of information on what they're seeing as some of the problems. I think that's very important to get that information from the kids that are actually sitting in the classroom. To be able to listen to the parents that are calling in and talking about it, and having a response within the district to help those teachers either get professional development or get teachers in that can reach the students and help with their academics and their achievement in math. It's such an important piece that kids need going on out of high school into college or trade or anything they want to do after high school. It's such an important skill, and it's so important we do not want to miss the mark on that.
Karla, Dr. Thompson talked about the STEM program as we're talking about some of our new schools and that. How do we increase the STEM programs at our high school and really take them to the highest level that they're capable of doing?
Well, we certainly need to increase the enrollment of students into those programs. So we need to be able to make sure that we're offering as many as the children are interested in it. That will have to be addressed and reviewed for the number of teachers that we have that can do that, as well as encourage students. Some students might say, oh, I'm not good at math, or I'm not good at engineering, and it's not about being good at something. You should never let that stop you from pursuing something that you're interested in. So it's really a discussion of the parents or the teachers that are seeing these students and saying, trying to encourage them to go into these different classes or different careers that they might not, look at in the first place. But it's really, making those opportunities available to the students and then encouraging the students to take those chances in high school. It's a great time to do it.
Tracy, looking at student preparedness and curriculum, what do you want Muskego High School graduates to know when they leave our district? Should elective courses play a role in that student preparedness?
Yeah, I think it's essential that we have these kids have the exposure that they need to make those multiple decisions that they want to do once they graduate. So having career fairs or attending other people's career fair, I actually just emailed Todd Irvine one that I found for health care that the students that are interested in those fields could go to. It's at the Waukesha Expo Center. It has lots of information available to those students to see, do they want to be a radiology tech or a nurse or a surgical tech or something different. And I'm sure there's other programs out there for other entities. With the STEM program, my son was in that, and he's now a sophomore at MSOE. And I truly believe it was the STEM program that led him into that profession because he enjoyed his blueprint class and his 3D classes and stuff that he did with that, which was great. And I also think partnering with like Girl Scouts does a huge robotics program that I think that if we know that the kids are getting that while they're in Girl Scouts, why not incorporate that into the school district and they can build from that knowledge that they're getting from those classes and stuff. So, yeah.
Thank you. Eric, what should the board's role be in helping to find balance with the following priorities? With the district's focus on academic goals, how do you propose teachers also find time to focus on mental health issues to hopefully prevent school shootings?
Well, I believe that it's going to have to start with prevention education for the teachers. I do not think that all of our teachers have the same level of ability to determine or to be informed on if someone is showing signs of mental health. So it definitely would have to start with education for the teachers. I think it's something that we're going to see a lot more of, especially when the state government brings a safe school bill and passes one. I think there's going to be money there for educating personnel, school district personnel, on detecting, or at least, and also reporting, which they're mandatory reporters of now, but giving them even more information on how to do that.
Terri, as a follow-up to the idea of school safety issues, what is your position on conceal and carry by teachers, staff, and parents in the schools?
I do not think teachers should be the ones carrying weapons in schools. I believe having police officers in our schools like we do is the safest thing to do. I would like to see us even expand that into the other two schools that we have. We have 3 I would love to see one in each school. You know, it's a very tough question. I don't like having guns in schools. I like people, if you're going to have a gun in a school, I want them to be very, very trained to use that. I know going through the Citizens Academy that even police officers get fearful when they pull their weapon because they don't pull it that often out here in these communities. And I can't even imagine a teacher or somebody who's not used to having that. I wouldn't even be able to get a key in a door, I don't think, much less pull myself together. And so I think it's important to have very trained professionals carry it, if at all, in a school.
Eric is a law enforcement officer. What are your thoughts on this?
I think we're doing a great job. I mean, you look right now at 3 school resource officers. I'm not sure I know of another district our size or smaller that has 3 SROs. What I see in the future, in my own mind, I'm seeing probably state or federal money that may come our way for more police officers to be in schools or armed security. I don't think it's the role of teachers to be a physical protector as much as being the mental protector of students. And personally, I have a minimum, and every officer in my department has a minimum of 40 hours of firearms, live firearms training a year. That's a work week split up into 12 months. And are we going to expect every teacher to go through that type of training, which may make them proficient? I don't think we can do that.
Thank you. Tracy, relationship with the community and the school district. As a school board member, do you see yourself as a representative of the community of Muskego or a representative of the school system?
A little bit of both. I think it would be hard to separate myself as being a mom and being involved in all the different things that I am involved with not being a mom in that role. But definitely if I was in the role of being a school board candidate and working with the school board, then within that capacity, obviously I would work within that role. It's kind of like the whole scope of practice with nursing, like working within your bounds and means of where you're supposed to be at and not going beyond and within. So definitely I would have to make sure that I am within my realm of the school board role and then within the realm of being a mom of 6 kids and working as volunteering in capacities that I do right now at this time.
Great. Karla, so if you see yourself as representing the community of Muskego as a board member, how would you assure that you are presenting the voice of the community, those who elected you on this board?
It really goes back to the communication we were talking about before. So really getting out and talking to people, seeing what people are talking about on Facebook, seeing what the issues are. I've had a number of questions come into me as a candidate, so I would want to encourage that kind of communication as a board member to see what people are interested in, make sure that those people are then coming in and engaging with the board or with any other planning committees that we have to get their voices heard, and just kind of represent what people are asking about, and then to the best of our ability as a school board reacting to that.
Sure. Terri, for many years there have been debates surrounding the perception of athletics versus academics. Given the recent and ongoing improvements to the athletic fields, it may increase that level of debate. What's your view on how academics and athletics should and could coexist?
Well, I'm clearly a very big supporter of athletics. I was very involved with Muskego Youth Football, and we did a lot of groundwork 10 years ago or so to work together with the high school football group. So I'm very proud of the athletics in Muskego. I was an athlete here in this community as well when I went through high school, and my children are. Academics are equally as important, and the important thing to know is that when kids are involved in athletics or any other kind of extracurricular activity, their grade point averages, their testing scores, those are all higher. It's been shown over and over again in research, and I think anything that we can do to get kids involved in different kinds of activities, it doesn't have to be athletics, it can be groups and clubs in school, but I think that's really important to get kids involved in something.
Great. Tracy, thinking about spending in the district, would you support an initiative to reconstruct or renovate the high school Salentine gym to fix and accommodate seating and floor court configurations?
Yeah, it's a little frustrating not to be able to pull the stands out all the way so that everybody can sit. I know it has something to do with the size of the bleachers and the colors and such. Yeah, it would have to be something that we could meet within the school district without going into the academic world of budget. It would maybe have to be sponsored by a sponsor that comes from outside, but I can't see having to take away from the academic world of education and classes and stuff to see if we can pull off a bigger Salentine gym, even though it would be awesome to have that, because I've been to many different school districts, New Berlin for one, where they can hold tournaments, basketball tournaments, doing 4 games at one time, and I'm sure it brings money into the district too with those, but I don't think I would want to delve into that with our funding for schools at this point.
Okay. Eric, what do you see as our district's greatest strength and our district's most necessary need for attention and focus to strengthen?
I think our greatest strength right now is we have a lot of great things in place, which has led to us being able to market ourselves extremely well. And where I think that's going to benefit us is very shortly, and you're starting to see it on the southeast side of the city. Developments are starting to come back, the economy is getting better, and when they look at our school district, and like Dr. Thompson showed us, the awards that we're winning within the last few years, and the level of academics that we're showing are being accomplished in this district, including ACT scores and others, we're marketing ourselves extremely well without even marketing. And I think it's going to help everybody here that owns a home when they decide they're going to move. I think your home values are going to benefit greatly from what the school district reputation is at this time.
I'm going to give each of you a minute to think about the questions and topics that we have had here this evening. And if there is something that you didn't get to answer and really feel that you would like to answer, provide your comments on, I'm going to give you that, and each of you will have 2 minutes to address those issues. I'm going to start with Karla.
I think we've answered quite a number of different questions here, so I don't feel that there's any pressing issue. One topic that I would just like to bring more to was the academics versus athletics, and I think that I just want to say that I think that the opportunities that are given to the kids are great. I have the experience up to the middle school level so far, but I have friends who have kids in the high school, so I see a lot of the great things that are happening with not just athletics, but with band and the musicals that are amazing. But also at the middle school, there's some great things there, and I think it's important to encourage those kids to get into these other things. My son was reluctant to, go out for the musical, but when he saw Spam-A-Lot last year, he was super excited about it. So, encouraging our kids to just get into the different things that are offered at the high schools or at the different schools is a great opportunity for them to grow and really kind of find new things. My son went to an art club, which I totally thought he would go to the coding club because a lot of the clubs are at the same time. And he's really grown in his love for art. So I think that's an amazing thing that we never would have thought about him going into. So I think those other items, other things, academics, or the athletics and the other clubs are a great thing for our kids.
Great, thank you so much. Tracy?
So one thing that I know you did kind of touch on a little bit about the future of our students and what we really want to see out of them. One talk that I give my nursing students is called Everyday Leadership. And it's something that I feel kind of passionate about, that I feel like they're given the opportunity to make a difference in this world, and how can we help them make that difference? And I think with offering the different types of classes, the different types of opportunities for them to have those opportunities, that would be something that I would want to continue within the school district and make sure that we promote and have the students be involved in, and trying to reach all students, even students with special needs or those that are, not finding their way as easy as maybe some of the other students are. One of the TED Talks that I have the students do is on everyday leadership, and he talks about a lollipop moment. A moment where you didn't even know that you touched the life of a human being, and that was something that you didn't even realize you were doing, but that was something that meant a lot to that individual. And many times we are not given that feedback back, but it's still out there. And I know that we don't really realize how much of an impact, being teachers, school board, that we make on these kids, but we are making a difference. And from those interactions that we do have with them, I feel like they're going to be better community members of our community, and better for us to participate with them and grow and succeed and create a world that is a positive life.
Great. Terri?
I had a lot of things going through my mind, but I think one of the most important things that the school board deals with is the budget. Always doing more with less, trying to figure out how to meet every single student's needs, get what the teachers need in those classrooms so they can be effective and those kids can reach their highest levels. One department that is near and dear to my heart, because I do have several people who teach in that department, and also I have friends that have students in the department, is the special ed department. There are so many more kids in that department. Those teachers work harder than anyone I've ever seen, right down to the aides. Having taken care of kids up until they're 4 and 5 years old, I deal with a variety of different children, a variety of different behaviors, a variety of different things, but they're little. The teachers that do that day in and day out, and I hear the struggles that they have. I hear stories from my kids or my kids' friends about them being in their classrooms and how difficult it can be on some days for them. I think that to me is such an important piece in our future for these children, to make sure that their needs are met. That is one little piece that is near and dear to my heart that I would like to see just looked at a little bit more and made sure that they're getting what they need.
Great. And Eric?
Thank you. I think our teacher-student relationships and our academics we're doing great things right now. So what I'd like to talk a little bit about is finances. Over the past several years, we've built our fund balance, which is kind of our savings account, to $22 million. Something that everybody should understand, that's about 41% of our expenditures. Something that we need to understand is between the time school starts, in July is when our year starts, and when we get tax dollars, we need about $15 million in order to run the school district. So with the fund balance that we have, we do not have to go and short-term borrow to make sure our school district continues to run. Many school districts do, and it costs them a lot of money in interest. Something else that's pretty important is net property taxes. Back in 2006 when I started, we were paying on a $268,000 house, which is the average house in Muskego, $2,600 in net property taxes. Today, on that same house, you're paying $2,200. So we've continuously brought that down and made it more manageable for our families. 7 years now, we've had tax levies decrease. And we've also, even with the referendum, we're going to retire the Lake to Noon loan this year. And that's because we've done some early payments on that loan. We're going to retire the high school, that loan that we had in the early 2000s in 2021. One thing that we've done to make sure that we don't have peaks and valleys in our loan payments is we've refinanced all these loans, including our current referendum. And prior to the current referendum, we were paying $3.5 million per year in loan payments. For 2018, 19, and 20, it is going up to 4.1, but because of refinancing, we brought that down in 2021 until this referendum is paid off in 2036. It'll be back at that 3.5 million again, which really helps keep our taxes on a steady level.
Great, thank you so much. Well, I don't know about you, but wow, you know, there's lots that has certainly come out this evening. And as we are looking to close this, I want to pose one last question to each of our candidates and to our incumbent. And that is, why are you the perfect candidate to be on the Muskego-Norway School Board? Everybody's going, don't ask me first.
I'll go first.
All right, we'll ask our incumbent.
Nice thing. But, and I'll talk a little bit about it when I read my final statement, but it's just consistency. Currently, we have 3 positions, 2 incumbents that are not running again, 1, of course, that is. And I think I've seen, and we've seen, and I think we can come to some consensus here, that we've seen pretty good things happen over the past 3 years, 6 years, and even 9 years. And bringing in 3 new candidates to sit on the board is almost half of the board that is currently sitting. So what I hope to bring is some continued consistency in what it sounds like to me from the feedback I get has been a consistent and appreciated school board and district.
Thank you. Karla?
I would bring in a fresh viewpoint from the school district, but still having had some experience in understanding the issues that we're working through my interactions with the district. I have young children that are in the district right now, and so I'd be very motivated to make sure that what we're offering for the different schools is continuing to improve, and just an enthusiasm to help the kids.
Great. Terri?
I have been in this community my entire life. Some people say that I bleed red and black. I usually have Muskego football or Muskego something on. It was hard to find a different outfit. I did at least have black. I love this community. I get involved anywhere I can. I support this community. I get that not everybody's happy here, and I want to find out why, and I want to help them like it as much as I do. The number of people that I have gone to school with that have brought their families back here to live is astounding. And that says a lot about what it's like growing up here. I have my family here, and I'm gonna get sad. I just have a lot of pride in this district. My mom was on the school board back in the 80s. I love her dearly. She can't be here tonight. And I just feel like her and I have talked about this for decades, that she would, always felt I would do good at this. And so, I'm the real deal. This is me. This was hard, and this is me. So, I'll represent you all.
Thank you. Tracy.
Yeah, so being the mom of 6, I have a lot of experience with a lot of different areas in the school district. I have coached many different teams within the school district that I feel like I have a lot of connections with people. My knowledge with having nursing knowledge and being the advocate for the patient, being the advocate for the district, I think are very similar. I feel that I have a good listening ear, that I can hear from what different sides of the story are and kind of come to a consensus. I feel like I'm a good negotiator when it comes to coming to hard decisions being made. I just feel like with all of the exposures that I've had within this community, being at St. Leonard's and being at the MAA and with Country Meadows, being the PTO president for 9 years, and just helping out with Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and stuff, I just feel like I have a nice well-rounded view of what we would like to see in the school district, and I'd like to continue along with being on all the different committees that I have been for the school board.
Great, thank you. So, final comments. We'll give you 1 minute to any final thing that you've had prepared, or not prepared, to bring this evening to an end. And I'm going to start with Eric.
Once again, I would like to thank the members of the Muskego Women's Club for hosting this fun event. I believe it is very important that we continue some consistency on a very successful and financially conservative Muskego-Norway school board. In this election, 3 incumbent board members were up for re-election. That's nearly 50% of the current school board members. I am the only incumbent currently running for re-election. Based upon great things happening in Muskego-Norway, such as increased academic accomplishments at all schools, new and remodeled facilities throughout the district without increasing the local tax levy, and hiring highly qualified personnel for the most part from other school districts, making Muskego-Norway the 7th best workplace in Wisconsin in 2017. I believe some school board consistency is critical. As Malcolm X stated, education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. On April 3rd, our community will prepare today for tomorrow's future based upon the direction that we take as a school district, as a school board, and as individual school board members. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll do this alphabetically. Yeah. Tracy.
Thank you again to the Muskego Women's Club and Kelly Thompson for giving us the opportunity to share our ideas and philosophy with the community. I would like to also thank the other panel members for sharing their insights as well. And thanks to all the community members who came here tonight to hear about my background, my credentials, and listening to why I really want to have the opportunity to serve on this school board. Being a pediatric nurse, working with kids, having 6 kids, and working in the district with many kids that I've either coached, taught, or inspired to perform in a talent show or do a science fair project, I think of them when I think of why I'm running. I think of the many teachers and parents who care deeply for the school district and know that's why I'm running. and the community. I want to support your desire to have a great school district, but yet remembering to be fiscally conservative. And know that I will give 100% to this role and represent all of you. Marianne Williamson said, "Our greatest fear is not the fear that we are inadequate. It is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that fears us." I would be humbled and honored to be elected to be on the school board on April 3rd. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Terri?
Thank you for coming, everybody. This was quite an experience. This whole thing is quite an experience. I absolutely love it, even though I do feel really nervous sometimes. I take this job to heart. I will absolutely do the best possible job I can. I work hard, and I do not take on tasks that I do not put everything into. I've been involved in so many different things. I've succeeded at those things, and I've always wanted to do this. And I would be honored to be sitting on this board with the school board. The climate in the world today is boiling. There's conflict everywhere. I will help this district navigate through some of that. I will do my best to take us to the next level. Great things are happening in this district, and there's always room to go higher and higher, and to me, the sky is the limit. There is nothing that we can't do better here. So please vote for me on April 3rd.
Thank you. And Karla?
Hold it in there. I'd like to thank everybody for staying till the bitter end. We've sat here for 2 hours, and everybody really appreciates it, and I really hope that you got your questions answered. If you didn't, there's many ways to contact all of us, and I appreciate you reaching out to me on Facebook or on my website. I'd like to thank the Women's Club for putting this on. It's been really interesting to talk to people and get their opinions on what's important to them, and just reminding you to vote. And if you are going on a spring break trip, make sure that you vote ahead of time, because it's very conveniently right in the middle of spring break. So I know we're all eager to get out of here, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much to all 4 of our candidates, and in behalf of the Muskego Women's Club, I want to thank all of our community members for being here this evening. Again, a reminder, the day to vote is on Tuesday, April 3rd, and we hope to see all of you out there. Again, thank you for coming this evening.